Yes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're here with you one more time, Speak Your Mind Show. We're here for people of these Virgin Islands. We usually try to dialogue with the people in the Virgin Islands and express our feelings of where we think we should be going and the topics we should be discussing. So I'm here tonight. Of course, I have my guest with me, Mr. George. We're here and we're ready to dialogue with the people of these Virgin Islands from Anegada all the way to Joshua Dyke. And of course, there are a number of topical issues. We're aware of many of them, and we strongly believe that by talking things through, we can come to some resolution about some of the issues that affect the territory, and in some cases, show some positive direction to our citizens. You know, if in some of the direction and ways that we should approach what are happening. We have the numbers up there as well, 300-1949 if you're going to call, and 300-1950 if you're going to text. We're going to have an open show tonight. We're going to put a couple of topics out, but we're going to have basically an open show. And we're going to dialogue with the people of these Virgin Islands from Anegada all the way to Joshua Dyke. We're going to pay special attention to Virgin Gorda tonight, since Virgin Gorda seems to be very challenging at this time. We're going to, entertain, as much as possible the persons from Virgin Gorda that might dialogue with us in whatever way, whether by text or by telephone. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Speak Your Mind Show is right here for you, the People's Show. We're here with the idea and philosophy of dialoguing with the citizens of these islands to come up with some resolutions, to discuss the way forward, to talk things through, as it is said. And, with any further, Mr. George, you want to make any quick introduction?
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Yeah.
And, it's good that we could start with the Virgin Gorda.
Okay.
Because I think we saw that YCC, what do you call it, YCCS?
Bitter Yacht Club.
Yeah, they were closing down for renovations, just like Little Dicks. And that's a serious hit to the economy up there. Because that's mostly a tourism economy, but I guess competition tight up there, that everybody have to remodel to stay on the cutting edge. But the people are going to really suffer in the long run. So you gotta find some way to so the damage don't, put some kind of plug so the damage don't be as hard as on the people. But that means business doing good. Because these places, you're remodeling, you guys stay on the cutting edge. Competition tight. So only thing that people going to suffer in the end, that's a bad part.
Well, I have to beg the question, one of the House of Assembly members was asking, if you could get a loan without having the proper paperwork, and I have to ask the question, if you can have a business plan for these various organizations, they must be required to have a business plan, and if you have a business plan, your business plan should take all these things into consideration. Risk management is something that is a fancy word, but it also has real serious implications. If you plan, if you do proper risk management, means risk analysis, putting measures in place, mitigating measures in place to avoid risks. If you find out what your risks are, what you are exposed to, then you can mitigate against it. You could put programs in place. You could plan for your employees for their downtime, so to speak.
Yeah.
But that is what you plan to do. That is the direction that you approach it in. If you just approach it, well, I'm going to just lay off people. That's a different story.
Yeah.
You know, if you just say, well, the tourist season is from October to May, and then I finish with that, then that's a different story, right? I don't know if I told you, but I'm a student of the Japanese style of management, which is from bottom up. The man on the floor, the guy who's manufacturing vehicles on the floor, he's the one that makes the decisions. Because the guy in the suit up in the office, he didn't have a clue.
Yeah, he don't know what's going on.
He don't have a clue what's going on. So, but that's a specific type of management that's what they call bottom up, which is different from top down. Top down is I sit in my executive office and I shoot orders and you do what I say or go home. And we have a lot of organizations like that in the Western world. I'm making it broad for you, so you get the idea. Yeah. I say in the Western world, I mean, you know, all over here, so to speak.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be that way, ladies and gentlemen. We can be more compassionate and we can look out for people's rights. We can look after the whole human being, not just the worker, but the human being, the one that has a family, the one that has bills to pay, the one that has that goes to the same supermarket like you and I.
Well, I guess that's the whole point.
Yeah.
The same philosophy, like you say, everybody thinking from the top come down and not the bottom go up.
Yeah.
Because if you were thinking on the bottom, you'll think that these people are human beings as well.
Mm-hmm.
They have children, they have rent to pay, they have all kind of different things. So before you make your decision, yes, you want to make your profit or whatever, like you say, you should have a plan in place that you know you want to renovate, you know you're going to deal with this. Have some kind of money aside, give these people a good notice, communicate with them properly. Yeah. So if they would know. If I know you're going to cut me off in the next 6 months, you tell me that like from the year before, I'll put things in place and I'll budget myself properly. So when that time comes, it wouldn't be as hard. You understand?
Yes.
It's all about communication, and I think here in the be very lacking communication a lot. It's like people on the top, they don't care about the employees because like they gave you a job and that's it. Yeah. They ain't care. I gave you a job, that's why I do you, so you come to work and shut your mouth and work. Yeah. That's how it'll come across sometimes.
Yeah,
and it shouldn't be like that. Because all of us working together.
And unfortunately, we don't have strong unions, you know, strong persons that look out for the interests of workers, as in some other countries. Because if we had strong unions, then the unions will look after these same rights for the individuals.
Yeah.
But I guess because of the large quantity of work permit holders and people
I think
people are
there's
scared
a fear of
the repercussions.
Yeah.
You know?
Or if I join a union, then when I take my work permit out, they're going to send me home.
Right.
And these people came here to make a better living for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, but I don't like that though.
I don't like it either.
Holding that fear over somebody's head and.
I think it's going to break eventually, because after a while you can only mistreat or ill-treat workers for so long.
Yeah.
After a while it's going to change. I think it will be a revolution when it changes. We have a text that came in. It said, my concern is about what is going to happen come September with high school. That's another story.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think the person is referring to
the extra grade.
The extra grade 1, 2, the idea of dividing
the school
into a junior high school and a high school, and the requisite infrastructure and personnel changes that will be required in order to accomplish that. And whether or not these things are going to be in place, you know.
Well,
I don't know about you, but I can't see too far into the future. or else, you know, I'd have gone down the road and buy some lottery tickets.
Well,
but I really can't see so far. So I'm going to I'm going to have to do like the person that texts. I have to wonder about it and hope that the information will come forward, you know?
Yeah, that's how we gotta do.
Yeah. Hope that the information comes forward, because if the information comes forward, I'm sure we the good citizens can analyze the information as it comes forward and be more informed and make better decisions.
Yeah.
You know?
Even the same, if the information come forward, I was reading and I was looking online last week, and they had a funny headline when they say they were talking about the governor. The governor saying something that, what if you have a if you have a governor that come here who just on vacation, he was saying like you're putting there's a lot of responsibility on him and the premier to like keep good governance and accountability on the government.
Right.
So he was talking like we need other organizations or independent organizations outside of him and the premier to be more scrutinizing the government, as to say. Like you were talking about let's say what do you call it, the Freedom of Information.
The Freedom of Information Act?
Yeah.
That's like a catch-22 though, because the same government is the same one who have to put the legislation in place for the Freedom of Information Act.
Well, I guess
they have refused to do it for the last 2 governments that we had. So I don't see how that would get passed.
Well, unless we make noise and keep talking about it.
Well, it's a good thing to have. And by the way, there's one in the UK that you can ask questions about the British Virgin Islands already, if you want to. You may not get an answer that you're looking for, because I've seen some people ask some questions and they say, we don't have that information in the UK, which I know it's true. They don't have the information in the UK, but that's not the answer though. Yeah. They could have asked the question of our politicians in the BVI if they wanted to give that person an answer, but they just gave the answer that we don't have that information in the UK.
But still, we need a Freedom of Information Act.
It would be something good for journalists, and it would be something good for
the public,
talk show hosts and the general public, because you would have information emanating from the government that would be in a format that you can have an opinion on, because it wouldn't be like second-hand and third-hand information. Exactly. You wouldn't be saying, I heard this on the street, or I heard somebody saying this. You would have something
from the source,
that you can say, this is what, you know. And mind you, ladies and gentlemen, we're not talking about trade secrets. We're not talking about military operations. We're talking about information that is unclassified, information that can be released to the public. We're not talking about secret trade secrets or something like that. You know, we know we're gonna never ever know what Kentucky Fried Chicken recipe is, right? We know that for sure. We're not talking about that. We're talking about instances where taxpayers' monies are being spent. You could tell us how much is being spent. You could tell us where, you know, who the recipients are. All the public information that is necessary, that is usually available. Yeah. That could be given out if we had a Freedom of Information Act. But I have a colleague from one of the news media, and he is you know, known to write articles in the prose form, I should say, because he usually talk about I saw one article where he was referring to when government releases information, and it's usually long after the project is completed. And that is so that's an unpopular view, in my opinion. I think, you know,
look at the cruise pay.
We should have information.
You will learn how the cruise pay overspent till when they almost finished.
According to one online source, you don't even know what the final figure is, because they're still working. Number one, and number two, the information has not, you know, really the information has not been released. Yeah,
and you see that always it doesn't look bad.
It also leaves people to speculate.
Yeah, and it looks bad on governments on a whole, and it gives politicians a bad name. Yeah. Because every major project we having a beef where you have some kind of issue with it, some kind of like overspending.
But as a person who used to write contracts, right?
Yeah.
You can write in a contract how much you can overspend by. You can do that if you really try to be proactive and try to be cost conscious.
Yeah.
You could write in there and say, we are only going to, you could say, if we are going to overspend, we will overspend by XYZ. Full stop. And that's the end of that.
Also,
There's some contracts actually written like that. If you look at some of CDB projects, the contract states in the contract how much you can vary the contract by.
You see, we don't have none of the cruise pay had a thing like that.
I don't know either yet. But ladies and gentlemen, we're having so much fun. But the sponsors that make the show possible, we have to take a break. We're going to take a short break and we're going to be right back with you. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're back with you after a short break. We were here having a good discussion. And of course, we have the numbers up there if you want to join us. 300-1949 if you're going to call, or 300-1950 if you're going to text. We were having some live discussion about some of the topics and some of the issues that are going on in the territory. And of course, this is a people's show, so you are always welcome to join us in dialogue, and we can, discuss and form opinions and give ideas about various things that are happening in the community. We're touching a little bit on the situation with employment on Virgin Gorda and the closure of some of the tourism establishments over there. That's a topical issue. That's that will have some repercussions, and we're hoping that some things are already in place, or that in the interest of the employees, that in the future things will be put in place to safeguard disruption of employment, etc., etc. So if you have views on it, if you have similar views or different views on it, you can also let us know, call us, let us know. Something else I was going to touch on, Brother George, is this whole issue that when people, is unfortunate, but sometimes people get incarcerated for different things. And I think we have to be mindful that in our society, you serve one term, you shouldn't be being tried a second time and a third time for the same offense. And when you do serve your time, then we should also try to, put these persons back in the society, find a way to integrate them back into the society. Yeah. And I think one or two persons tell me they have been having some challenges with that because, for whatever reasons, they weren't really accepted. They got a job, they came back and whatnot, and then things haven't worked out as they should have worked out. So they're pretty much in a situation where they shouldn't be, And we know from looking at records, records to do with social work, that if a person is in a position like that, it's very likely they may end up back in an incarcerated position again. So I'm making a serious appeal to our residents out there. When you get an opportunity to help someone in a situation like this, don't look at it as if that is something you're doing out of the extraordinary. Look at it as something that you're doing in the ordinary, because it's a two-way street. We have to look out for fellow human beings, and we have to ensure that persons are gainfully employed, so that, you know, they don't have the opportunity to do other things that might not be as well as you would want them to be. Good evening, you're Rich Speak Your Mind. Go right ahead, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, go right ahead. You're live.
Mr. Dickens, sir.
Yes, sir.
For the longest while, we all the population for the BVI is 30,000. And for some reason, I wasn't quite accepting until some days in the week we made for me to understand it is up to 40,000.
That's a lot. That's a big difference.
I think it's either the governor, the new chief of police, he's one of them who just meet a thing during the week. To me, that more look like it.
Well, the census was in 2010.
Yes.
And this is now 2016, so we're like halfway towards it.
Yeah, and to me, for the last 2-3 census, the population has never been revealed to us.
Okay, well, I think they did make the announcement that the census was completed a few, maybe 2 years or so ago.
Yes.
But I, like you, I haven't seen the detail, but I guess I could try my best to see if I could get my hands on the detail.
It's some kind of news during the week. I heard the governor and the new chief of police make a reference to 40,000, which does more look like that to me.
Well, I was making an assumption with someone during the week. I was saying that the people who are like 15 years now, in the next 3 years, they'll be able to vote. So when you're looking at the voting population, we're talking census still. When you're looking at the voting population in the next election, there should be a lot of new faces. If you go to the gym, or if you go to the basketball game, or if you go to the sports thing, you would see a lot of very young people.
A lot of new faces.
There are a lot of new faces. So we have to brace ourselves for this new set of people who are going to make decisions for you and I.
Yes. Okay, you have a good night.
All right, thanks for your input. That's an interesting discussion there, Brother George, because one of the things we were begging and pleading for was voter ID card, but we still can't get a voter ID card, right? Yeah. We have other cards that we get very quick, but we can't get a voter ID card, which is something that would help with, you know, with the situation that we're seeing right now with the let me see what this text came in. It says, why do we have people collecting departure tax at B-File and at seaports? The ferry services and airlines should be allowed to leave without paying. I think I heard that the government is planning to embark on that, you know, the person at text. I think I heard that they're going to cut that out. Good evening, you're Rich Speak Your Mind. Go right ahead, please.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, good evening.
Yes, good evening. You're live. Go right ahead, please.
Yes. I have a question to ask, right?
Okay.
I'm saying that we have people who's living here, for example, and they want people to come and visit, for example, right? Why instead of like for us doing the visa in for Jamaica, Guyana, and stuff, we don't pay the money here that the BVI can get the money? You don't think it's a wise choice instead of doing it in the Commissioner of Jamaica or other places? The money could come into the country.
I'm hearing what you're saying, but I don't know exactly how that works. I heard reference to that before, meaning you're saying that you could collect the money in the Virgin Islands rather than in the country where the person is leaving from.
Yes. For example, the people who are living here,
okay,
they could apply for the visa here.
Yes.
Instead of sending it to Jamaica or applying for Jamaica, they could do it here.
Okay, I don't have
the British Virgin Islands.
I don't have the answer for you, but I can ask the registrar and I could get back to you. I'll come back on the show.
No, I was asking if you don't think it would be
of course I think it would be.
a choice, because
of course,
the money would be in the country, will be coming into the country.
Of course, and then you wouldn't have to worry with exchange and exchange rate and all that as well. I agree.
Yeah, I think it would be a wise choice because we can apply for it here and we can apply for it in other countries as well.
Yes.
But most and they will be saying you have to do it here and they can do it here. So I was just saying that would bring in revenue for the country.
Also, I think it would also give another measure of security as well. Well, that's a good idea. Thanks very much for that.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. That's an interesting point, right? It's similar to a point that our Minister Walwyn was raising, right? Which is the idea that we could have customs clearance on both sides rather than on one side. So that you could speed up the process in travel, in inter-island travel, which I think I would even go further than inter-island travel. I think if we do ever get to, a Miami route, we could have some U.S. customs in the BVI, and once you clear U.S. customs in the BVI, you just walk off the plane in Miami. I know that's the way it is in the Bahamas and a couple other places. You have the custom clearance right in the country, so it's just as if you're pre-cleared, and it makes a faster transaction when for persons traveling. You don't have to be hassling with the immigration and customs thing at the end of at the beginning of your next journey.
Okay.
We got a text that came in. Let's see what this person text is saying. Why is Labor Department not freezing work permits to give the workers of Little Dix Bay a chance to find a job? Well, that's another good idea. I'm hoping that the persons in the Labor Department will take that on board. The last time I heard, I think we have thousands of work permits every year.
Yeah, there's a lot.
And I always make the point that thousands of work permits every year. We have people graduating from HLSCC. We have people graduating from high school. And there needs to be some synergy between what's going on in the job market.
But maybe, I don't know if anybody ever take the time and do a study to really see how we're affecting the economy.
Yeah.
I think
not only that, but also the factor that we should have a national job list or analysis to see where we need what jobs, and to give scholarships in those areas, to give work permits in some areas, etc. I think and to let the public know, what's happening in those areas. But that might be wishful thinking at this point.
But I still think somebody gotta do it.
I think somebody should do it. I think
because you just
and getting back to your point though about us looking to other organizations to do some of the things in the territory that needs to be done. That's all that could help, but at the same time
they gotta get the information.
But we also need to hold the persons that are collecting the salaries accountable. If you're collecting the salary to run the affairs of the country, that's a major responsibility.
Yeah.
If you want to let down that responsibility, that's a different story. I don't think anybody want to let down that responsibility. It comes with a lot of power.
Yeah.
And with power comes responsibility. And I think that if the salary has a big part to play with it. You can't accept the money and do nothing, or else I want to be the next guy then.
Exactly. Just pay me.
Yeah, just pay me, and
I'll do it for you then.
Yeah, any time, and we're not the only people. I got another 100 guys standing behind me, ready to do the same thing. At least 100 that I know of. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we had a good time here dialoguing with you. We were able to touch on a few pertinent but necessary issues, and we were able to talk a bit with some of the persons in the territory about some of the touching issues that can make a change in our society, that can make life more more vibrant and more, more livable in our community. So we're going to have to leave our audience with any last words. You have anything, Brother George, you want to talk about?
I'd just like to wish all the mothers a happy Mother's Day. And when I say mothers, I mean you might not have children, but you could be a mother to somebody. Just because, just like you have those fathers who like people like to call them sperm donors, you have some women that just carry children for 9 months and who ain't really a mother to them children. And you have women who could be godmothers, or aunt, whoever, who that's been a mother to a child. And I just like to wish you all a happy Mother's Day and have a good Sunday. You can go to church, go to dinner, go to brunch. Just enjoy yourself. Tomorrow is your day. And so, yeah.
Well, I have to join you in saying Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers in the territory, and wish them the best. That they can have on Mother's Day. I'm one of those old-fashioned guys who believe that, the mother figure in our community is the one who has hold the whole community together from generation to generation. And the more we continue to have that in place, I think it stabilizes our society, and it builds from generation to generation. And I even go a little further to say that maybe it's time we start looking at that whole structure and try to bring it back in place where, the women take care of the children in the community, whether they're your children or not. You look out for the interests of them. You make sure they get an education. If they're doing something that you think is inappropriate, you pull them up with their mother and let the mother know, what they should be doing, even if you become unpopular, because that can happen in our society. But if you look out for everybody in the community, I was privileged to listen to one of my old mentors, Mario Moorhead in St. Croix, and he basically gave a speech that says that the ills in our communities right now have a lot to do with the fact that the young male and female in our society don't really know themselves, and they don't know what it means to be a part of our community. Although they are in the community, they don't really have that genuine knowledge about themselves, and that's causing a lot of problems. I agree with it as well. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, we had a wonderful show, and at this time I usually say God bless these Virgin Islands and the people that live in them, and have a happy Mother's Day to all.